Hello and welcome along to another end of season review from this FM22 One Club story from Hemel Hempstead Town with me, Daniel. It's part 88 of the Tudor Times and we are back at the 10-year mark to reflect on what is probably one of the luckiest escapes we'll ever have. And we'll also have a look at how English, European and UK based football is progressing as we reach the second bookmark at the 10-year point. So if you're looking forward to all of that, as well as helping contribute to my summer transfer plans, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM22 content from two long-term stories. The head coach is of course back tomorrow before a big summer transfer special in 2 days' time over here. And we're going to have to do something because we are very much fortunate not to have been relegated. 17th place, 35 points, 33 would have been enough to survive. I don't think that's going to happen most years, so we might have to buck our ideas up. You can find links in the eye above to all the other playlists, the Twitch channel and the football podcast too. Championship predictions back for the run-in tomorrow. There's a lot of big episodes to come in that one. You can also choose to support the show as a channel member down below, but thank you as always for your incredible support as we head in to a season review with Hemel Hempstead Town. So we're going to try and do something slightly different today. Rather than looking in big detail at one or two areas of the club, which is what we normally do, we're just going to try and graze over a few things. So we're going to have a quick glance at the data hub. We're going to do the classic season review. We're going to have a glance at our summer transfer plans and then look at the footballing world. So let's skip ahead to the season review tomorrow morning and hopefully there'll be some stadium plans to follow as well. And here we go. There's no trophies in the 30-31 season, but the fact we're in the Premier League for it and the fact we're still in the Premier League after it is a pretty incredible achievement. Let's have a look at the new arrivals because there is something here that I've got to point out because I keep telling you that John Moore is so brilliant off camera and then he drops clangers nearly every episode. He won Premier League signing of the season. That's how good he's been. And I guess the money's factored into that too. Josh O'Brien, a January addition, and Charlie McNeil, both really essential to what we've done here. And actually a lot of the top ratings, in fact all of them after John Moore and Ryan Young, the other 5 are all the January signings. So it does suggest that they're pretty big additions to the squad and made a big difference around that time. Ryan Young is a big standout. He's been absolutely fantastic for us. And the ones that joined in January, they really lifted the quality of the squad. The backups we got in the summer largely were flops, but we can move them on. We probably won't lose much, so there's no harm done there. In terms of the players out, just to remind you of how far we've upgraded. Badgertich, Brian Moore, Parry. Great to see Parry doing well, by the way. 22 goals for Grimsby. Rodell Richards, Jason Ferris, Ronnie Stutter, who went to Barnsley after playing the first few games. These were all key parts of our squad last year, and we have massively changed this squad around to get to the standard we've got. And then loans out, we're looking in particular at the likes of Josh Berry, Zach Geacock, that will come back next year and hopefully be involved in the squad. The season results, do you know what? It's not flattering. At the end of the season, we didn't win for 8 games. Around the middle of the season, we had a terrible run. We didn't win for about 11 games, I think it was. 12, in fact, with just 3 points picked up. But we had those 2 little spells, the momentum at the start of the season, the stupid result against Brighton, and in that little spell when the January signings started coming in the end, has just kept us in the Premier League. We got 100% sellout for the whole season. We're really looking forward to seeing if we get some stadium news, so stick with us till the end because we will skip ahead and see if we get any. And Ricky J. Jones scored the goals to keep us up. Disappointment in the Cups, out of the first hurdle in both, but does not matter at all. 7-1 win at Brighton was the biggest win. It started so well and all went downhill very quickly. Sorry, the match to remember is a 0-0 at Crystal Palace. I think it's one we showed on camera as well, isn't it? But a 0-0 at Crystal Palace. Is that genuinely a joke? I don't understand. And Ricky J. Jones got goal of the season in that heartbreaking defeat against Newcastle. We haven't had an increase in reputation. I'm not surprised. But it is a real disappointment staying at 3-star yet again. Everything else is up financially. The broadcast revenue from 3 to 91 million. Welcome to Premier League football. How did we line up? Well, I can't disagree with much of that squad. There's a doubt in there whether it would be Hubert or one of the alternatives, Moreira maybe. But the back 4, Max Taylor gets his place. Everyone else has been really solid. A fantastic achievement to keep this side in the Premier League. Egan won Player of the Season again, but will finally be leaving the club this summer. So that's someone we've got to replace, and it's going to be hard work. No news on stadiums yet though, so we'll have to come back to that in a minute, I'm afraid. Let's go to the squad and try and plan for the summer, because there are a lot of players here that in an ideal world I don't want in this squad next season. Not if we're going to stay up yet again, and the second season's normally the most vulnerable. So let's get all of the loan players showing, and let's get them in order of ability, because you can see at the top of the pile, the players we've bought in January are Premier League standard upgrades. I'd probably say anyone down to Ricky is going to be a key part of the first team squad next year. And it is a core of 12, 13, 14, if you include Josh Berry coming back too. Below that, there's a couple like Richardson and Clark and Bennett, Sharif and Thornley who are going to be decent backups with big potential, maybe ones we could loan out. But below that, you've got this chunk at the bottom here, probably from Samuels down, excluding Grashik, who is obviously the third choice keeper, where, I don't know. Even the likes of Kamari Doyle, maybe he's an exception, but Georgie barely kicked a ball the second half of the year. All the backups we signed last summer, they're going to have to be off. So we're probably looking at 6 or 7 players that we'd like to get in by the end of the window. There's only really 2 or 3 areas we need a first team player, because the January signings are the ones that are going to take us forward. But the games we've struggled with is when we've had 3 a week, when we've had cup games. Our backup squad probably isn't even as strong as we had last year in the Championship, because we can't have those loan players about. So if we can get the squad, the backup squad, up to Championship standard, I think then we should be alright, with 1 or 2 bits of gold dust coming into the team. Let's go back to the top though, because I want to show you a few of the attribute improvements, because a few of you have asked about players like Ricky J. Jones and that, but I generally just want to show you the development and the difference that having great training facilities and playing at a higher level can make, because Ricky J. Jones is obviously the first one we'll start with. Now his attributes haven't actually improved massively. This isn't a screen I often use. If you're wondering how to get to it, development, progress, attributes, all time. That's all you need to know. But you can see here how much they've improved over their career here. He joined us in 2026, and actually, the interesting thing here is his technical stats, because of the standard of training facilities, the standard of coaching, the standard of even perhaps the standard that he was playing at. He hasn't improved as much as he has in, say, our Derby Twitch save, or many of the others you guys have had. The biggest change since he's been here, though, is mentally. And mentally, he has made massive difference. And if you notice, it probably explains why I'm such a big advocate of individual training. Because if you look at the attributes that have improved, and we've got highlighted the key ones for the advanced forward roll on attack, as you can see at the top. Techniques up by 2, anticipation, off the ball movement, arguably more important than him adding pace to his game, because he's already quick. He's more agile now. His decision making's better. All of those little key components that just make him a slightly more rounded pro. And I'm actually really pleased with the way he's improved. If you look at his progress now, he is 28. He's just starting to decline a tiny bit physically. But he's been one hell of a star for us and will continue to be so in the future. Let's do a more basic view of some of the others, because German Moreira, I'm wondering if he'll become a wonder kid, because he's 20 years of age, he's playing for Uruguay, he's developing really quickly. I'm almost tempted to change my midfield roles next year just to adapt to him. And we'll see if I've got the balls to do it when we get into the season. I am contemplating a tactical change to a back 3, because we've got better centre-halves than anywhere else. But I don't know if I can bring myself to do it, because it is a massive change and it could go very wrong, as it did last time we tried it in the National League. Other ones that have come in, Christian Flores continues to develop at speed. I would like to see him as a winger at some point, but he's so good in centre mid now. He is just a Premier League player. But he's among many that have improved immeasurably since they've joined. Even players like Albi Armin is now a star Premier League player. He's competent. He's solid across the board. And he came in as someone I didn't know was going to be good enough in the Championship. John Moore, going to be a great goalkeeper, improved really quickly this season. Leo Hubert continues to get better despite throwing his toys out the pram off the pitch. There's so much to be excited about here. And with that core, if we can just keep adding 1 or 2 more bits of quality each year, keep the personalities right within the club, and this summer overhaul sort of the backup team and get a better squad, then I think we've got a positive future here. Because I could see 4 or 5 of these, the likes of Hanifan, Moreira, etc., playing at the very top level for this club. So we'll see if I'm right on that front. But for now, let's go and have a quick look at the data hub. The last thing I want to reflect on at the club this season. I just want to see where the gaping holes are, of course, because we did struggle for large parts of the season. And if that disagrees with any of the things I've just said about fixes for the summer, let me know your transfer ideas in the meantime. Do you think we should be looking at maybe just one or two first team upgrades? Or should we be going the whole hog? I'll be interested to get your thoughts. Let's go over to the data hub though, because this is where things start to get a little bit exciting. And we'll start with the general performance screen because I think this actually summarises almost everything in a nutshell. The goals per game and expected goals per game slightly below average, particularly the goals per game, but nothing really to get too worried about. The conceded and expected goals against per game are miles off. We look absolutely awful and we've conceded tons, so that is perfectly explainable. However, there are some positives in terms of quality. If we look at the shots per game, we've actually had significantly less than the Premier League average, over half a shot per game less. But if you look at the shots on target ratio, we're actually over 1% better than the Premier League average, which suggests the likes of Ricky, the likes of even Kamari Doyle, who I've complained about, and the assortment of strikers that have played up there too, they are producing shots on target. They're giving us a chance to score. And maybe that's why our goals per game isn't too far behind and our expected goals per game is almost level. So if we can add that one quality striker in, or get McNeil in form, if we can add that brilliant number 10, we've got Cordes coming from Porto in the summer, if we create better chances and then hit the target, do we become a goal scoring effort? I don't know. But clearly, defence is still the weakness. Largely that's from the first half of the year, it's got to be said. But it'll be interesting to see how the young side adapts over the next year or two. Otherwise, we're pretty average across the board. You'd expect the pass completion to be slightly higher because we play that sort of shorter diamond game. But attacking and defending, they virtually explain themselves. And it is nice when you have seasons like this because you don't have to panic. You know exactly what the problems are. Our dribbles per game are significantly less than the Premier League average, but you're largely going to get your dribbles from attacking wing-backs or from wingers, and we don't play with those. We're getting the ball up to Ricky in behind so he doesn't have to dribble. He can just pick the ball up and control and shoot. The fouls against, much better. I'm tempted to go a little bit more aggressive in the challenge, but with us being run ragged and chased around the pitch all game, I feel like we might give away a few too many red cards doing that. But the rest of it's pretty good again. The goals per game average is alright, we've seen that stuff already. Nothing else really is of concern at the moment. We're having less shots per game but hitting the target more. Got to be happy with that. And then the team defending is very interesting. It's a one-sided graph. And I think it shows you how much pressure we're under because the number of fouls made per game, we're actually a lot better because we stay on our feet. However, we're having to make a lot more clearances and blocks than the Premier League average. So our blocks per game is actually double the Premier League average. Our clearances per game is over double the Premier League average. Our interceptions per game is about 1.5 per game over the Premier League average. And our tackles one is about level. But again, you can see we don't attempt many tackles because we stay on our feet most of the time. And we're almost trying to encourage the ball into the box. And I don't know whether that's the right thing, but I haven't got the bottle to try and test it because when have we got a free game to do so? So that's something you might see change over the next year. But for now, I'm going to stick with it as it is because ultimately, in finishing 17th, it has been successful. And I don't think any of us expected even to get 35 points, albeit we were still lucky to survive with that total. So there's a little glance into the data hub. The final thing though is the world of football. We're going to have a look at what's been happening there. We will then skip ahead to check out for stadium news, so don't worry if you're still looking forward to that. But let's have a look at the English, Scottish and European competitions to see what the big changes have been in this 10 years of football. We had some stark stories in the head coach the other week. I'll put that in the eye above. But let's see how this one compares. We start with the Premier League, which we know well. Southampton have become a very good side. That's the first thing I should say. Regulars in Europe. And we've finally seen a big points total. Something we haven't had in the head coach save, much to our frustration. In the Championship, we've got playoffs to come, but let's see what's been happening. No sign of Luton Town, my club. Ipswich, Charlton and Sheffield Wednesday down by a country mile as well, all three of them. Burnley, Norwich back up, two of the originals. League One, we have got Luton coming back up, happy days. Middlesbrough there too. Notts County on their way back down after a few promotions. Blackpool down to League 2, started in the Championship. Any non-league clubs up there? Southend from the start. Not much else though, I don't think. No huge surprises. It's when we get down to the National League we're going to be looking for them. In League 2, Wigan in the playoffs have come down, as had MK Dons, Plymouth and Shrewsbury. In fact, only one of that's top 7 starts in League 2, and that's Rochdale. Cambridge League 1, as are all of the playoffs, and Grimsby in the National League. Going down, Port Vale and Accrington back into non-league. Wrexham just about holding on. Solihull still going in there. There's a few clubs that have become established in the Football League. Woking, another one of those. Into the National League, are we going to get any more big surprises? I mean, it just shows you the difference from the saves, doesn't it? Birmingham in the Championship playoffs in this one at the 10-year mark, and in the head coach, they're in the National League. Carlisle, Stevenage are League 2 clubs at the start. Gillingham are a League 1 club. Cheltenham are a League 1 club. And Newport League 2. But I wouldn't say it's as shocking as the head coach. So let's try the National League North and South. Go on, give us a surprise. Hartlepool in there, started in League 2. Nothing else really of note, I wouldn't say. The South is the last chance to save us. Doesn't often happen in the Southern League. Barnet and Boreham Wood both there. Look at the points totals again. Sutton starting in League 2. They're in the playoffs there. It's not gone well for Sutton and Hartlepool, the two promoted clubs to League 2 in real life. But again, I wouldn't say there's any other massive shocks. So definitely a lot more stable than we've seen in the head coach. I guess we're the big exception, aren't we, in this one? The FA Cup has been won by all the big boys continuously. Leicester obviously won the last real life year, and then it's just been the top 6 clubs continuously. No Manchester City this time, though, which is interesting. They have, though, won this year's Carabao Cup against Arsenal. Spurs getting one in there, but again, bar Leicester's in the first 5 years, it's largely the top sides. The EFL Trophy, not too many under-23 sides. Shrewsbury win it last time. Walsall and Coventry in the previous 5 years too. Into the FA Trophy, Boreham Wood in the final, that's good to see. Chester have won a couple. Other than that, it's been quite a lot of Southern dominance, I'd say. And let's move on to the Scottish Premiership, which we'll have a look at as well. Well, Celtic added another couple. They won 7 in a row again. Rangers got themselves 2 in a row, but Celtic are back this year. So definitely getting the better of the Scottish rivalry at the minute. Raith Rovers back down, not having the same success as the Bangor save despite reaching the SPL. Down the leagues we go. Any big shocks? Motherwell back up. Partick down to League 1. In League 1 we've got nothing huge, I would say. You can correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments at any stage. In League 2, again, no massive shocks. The Welsh Premier League is won by Bala, who have won 2 of the last 5 titles. Are they professional? They are. What's going on in Welsh football? They've not had an increase in reputation much, but Bala have become a professional side and started winning a lot of trophies. Bangor City up there in 3rd, so different to the real life story, unfortunately. But really good to see a little bit of competition there, rather than just TNS dominating as always. And then off to Northern Ireland, let's have a look at the Irish Prem. We have got Linfield dominance, 1 title for Larne there. So the last 5 years, Linfield back on top. Probably some decent players down there, and it is rising up the European rankings, above League 2 now. So doing pretty well, the Irish League. Let's have a quick look at Europe and the international competition. So we'll start with the Champions League. So this year's final is PSG v Bayern. PSG won it the year before. So interesting actually, we've not got other European leagues loaded in this save. Yet there's been more sharing of the trophy across Europe. Inter have picked one up, Bayern have picked one up, PSG as well. It's still English dominance though. But this year's final, make it 4 out of 10, where it's been a non-English winner in the Champions League. In the Europa League, that's a bit of a different story. 5 different English winners, or 6 in fact in 6 years. Chelsea could win it again against Atletico Madrid. The Europa Conference, Spurs got one, Villa got one, Southampton, Everton. But again, the last few years, Italy's made a comeback. Lazio, Milan, and now it's Newcastle, whose top scorer in the competition is an Italian, against Italian side Sassuolo. So that's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Let's move to the European Super Cup, which again is largely English dominance, as you'd expect, though PSG beat Spurs this year. And then let's go and have a look at the World Cup and European Championship. They're the big two. The World Cup, wow. Still French dominance. That's 4 World Cups in a row for them. That's some sort of record, isn't it? Let's see if that's matched up in the European Championships. It is not. 2 out of 3 for Italy. Of course, they won the last one in real life. Then France won one again. Then Italy. And England are hosting it this year, 2032. That'll be a fun one. So we'll keep an eye on that in the next review. And then what about the Nations League, which I think is called the International League here? Holders of France, they've won 3 of the last 5. Spain picking up a couple too. So French football is dominant in terms of international. The French squads, I tell you what, it must be something else, mustn't it? Mbappe leading the line. They've got a player from Real Madrid who's young, who's worth nearly 200 million, who's ridiculous. I mean, it's just star-studded across the board, isn't it? What a side they have got. Lots of youngsters coming through, despite not having the French league loaded. And that would suggest a few more years of dominance to come from them. But let's skip ahead and see if we get any stadium news. And then we'll round off to get the busy summer underway ahead of another transfer special. Well, we didn't have to wait long. 2 hours and 15 minutes later. I've had to come to this screen because I didn't want to risk seeing the message by accident. There are 2 in the inbox and they are stadium related. So let's find out to finish this episode what sort of stadium we're going to be getting. Please let this be good and let it be quick. To the inbox. Board plans to build a new stadium. Searching for suitable sites and possible investors. The main reason is that we need to accommodate a bigger crowd due to high demand for tickets. The board, however, point this will not be a smooth process and it will be some time before it can be finalised. That's frustrating. But it's looking like it's going back to Hemel Hempstead. That's the key. We're playing 12 miles away in Luton at the moment. We want to get there. But there's not really much more to it. I want to go and have a look because I'll show you a little cheat so you can find out roughly what sort of stadium capacity they're looking at. Let's see what the other board request is. Improve our youth level. That's the first time they've offered to do it of their own accord. And I should say as well, we just got a budget message. £40 million transfer budget and the wage bill nearly doubled again. So this club is going massively in the right direction. And I can stretch the wages a little bit as long as we keep those relegation clauses in. That is the only thing that matters in the short term. But in terms of seeing what the facilities are likely to be, if we go to the club info and we go to facilities, we are in business. Future stadium plans, stage, searching for site, planned capacity, 25,375. That is a very competitive Premier League stadium. It certainly takes us into the big club realms. And if we get the youth level up, the facilities there up to good, get the youth recruitment up to good too, we then start to look like a side that competes in the Premier League and Championship, rather than a small club that's made their way up. I'm thrilled. What a finish that is. It gives me a lot more confidence for the summer. We will still look for the right deals and make sure they're the right players because that stadium ain't going to be cheap. But for now, we can start to get very excited because everything's moving towards us becoming a Premier League club. We've just got to do our job in the recruitment window and then on the pitch next season. Can we avoid second syndrome? If you want to find out and you did enjoy this episode, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM22 content from 2 long-term stories. We'll be back tomorrow with the head coach before a big summer transfer window here in 2 days' time. And who knows, maybe we'll have some more stadium news to come next season. In the meantime, you can find other playlists, the football podcast and the Twitch channel up in the eye above. The football podcast is now available on audio platforms too, so you can download some of our podcasts and interviews to listen to on the go. But a massive thank you for your support as always. It's going to be another big summer here at Hemel Hempstead Town. I'll put the 10-year bookmark from the head coach save above my head now as a comparison. But thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you again for a new season in the Premier League.